Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. Here I am once again for another recent pickups video, this time going over all the stuff that I've acquired since I made the last one of these, mostly Christmas stuff. So I'm just going to have a nice sort of relaxed chat about all the things that I've either picked up myself or have been given as presents. Most of them are just things that I would have bought myself with my Christmas money, to be honest. Yeah, don't really need to whiffle on too much more. As before, I shall hold up the box and show you and talk about it a little bit, and then and also switch over and show you the trailer. But the first couple of things I've got to talk about, I don't have physical versions for them, so I'm just going to go directly to the trailer for the first one. And this is the Crisis Remastered Trilogy, which I picked up a few days before Christmas, actually, when the sale happened. I got the digital version on the Xbox Series X, and I have installed Crisis 1 so far, because they come... Sorry, you can just see a cat. Let me move him. He will join in, probably. Anyway, as I was saying, I've installed Crisis 1 because the 3 games come as separate installs. And I've played the very first level, which is pretty much all I've ever played of Crisis before. So I haven't really got stuck into the campaign yet. And I've never really played these games before, although I've had the option to for quite a while, as they've been on EA Play as part of Game Pass. But no, for some reason I still haven't played them. I do remember trying to play the first game on an old PC of mine years and years and years ago, but quite infamously it required quite a powerful PC to play, and the one I had wasn't quite up to it, so no, I couldn't really run it at the optimal performance. So yeah, now I can finally play this trilogy, and I'll get back to you once I've had a chance to do so. So I'm just going to switch over to the interstitial screen again, and then move on to the next thing. The next game I've got is another recommendation from Consolvania, but this time it was Ryan as opposed to Rab, and this game is Wattam. I do remember being really interested in this back when it came out, but it kind of left my mind entirely until I was reminded about it in one of Consolvania's older videos, well, a few years ago, 2019 I think it was. Yeah, and this is from the creator of Katamari Damacy, and as you can see, it's a very sort of bizarre, cartoony, weird game where you do stuff like feed little anthropomorphic fruit to a giant mouth, or and then flush little grey poops down a toilet and make gold poops. Yes, it's very bizarre, but also really colourful and charming, and just the sort of sunny, cheerful game that you need during the dull grey early days of January. So when I need cheering up, because it's another year and the weather's still cold and crappy, I shall probably put this on. It looks really funny. I don't think it's very long, but I don't know if there's any sort of sandbox mode where you can just mess around in it. I think there is, but as I say, I've yet to actually start it. I've got it installed and ready to go on my PS5, but yeah, I need to properly play it. But from what I'm seeing in this trailer, it looks awesome. So that's the last of the digital stuff I've got to talk about. I've got one more thing where I don't have a trailer, so I'll just give this a second to finish, and then I'll show you the next thing. It's funny. I like it. Anyway, yeah. yeah, so it was only a couple of years ago that that came out, really, just before the pandemic. So anyway, next thing. So before I get back onto the trailers, there's one item I want to hold up and show you, which is the Binary Zone International Complete PD library for the Commodore 64. This is a public domain company, really, that sold demo discs, sort of music and graphic demos for the Commodore 64, and also public domain games and other little bits and bobs. And they produced literally hundreds of discs over the years, and the guy who ran this eventually formed the sort of indie Commodore 64 software label Cytronic, which is still going strong today, and this was made available through them. What they've started doing is making these USB sticks that look like classic tapes. It just comes out at the bottom like that, and this has the entire library. Here comes the cat again. Come on, kitty, out of the way, I'm trying to talk to people. Yeah, so it's got the entire library of everything that they produced on Binary Zone PD, and I've started looking through some of the graphic demos and playing some of the games, but there's hours upon hours of content on that to look at. What I've done is actually copied it over to my PC and then copied it onto the USB stick that I put in my C64 machine, the new HDMI C64 full-size keyboard, and because that has all my other games on it already, so I wanted them all on one USB stick because it only recognises one at a time. So yeah, but I've got that. This is a nice physical item to have. There weren't that many produced, I don't think. It sold out quite quickly, but luckily I saw the Facebook posts that it was available in time to get one just before Christmas. So yeah, that's a nice item to have in my collection. So and then I can move directly on. This box here is the original PS4 release of Death Stranding, but I'm actually playing the director's cut on the PS5. First of all, I did buy this when it was released and played quite a bit of it. I think slightly further than I've actually got to now, which is Chapter 3 in the PS5 version. And I didn't like it at the time. I just wasn't in the right mindset to commit myself to playing it, really. So I kind of set it aside and thought I'd never go back to it. But anyway, let me start playing the trailer. Yeah, so I recently watched the Fire Escape podcast, which is Dan Reichert and Mike Mahadi and Mary Kish. They do a podcast together, and they did their Games of the Year. And in quite a lot of the categories, they actually talked about Death Stranding Director's Cut. And like me, Dan Reichert absolutely hated the original game when it was first released, and swore he'd never play it as well. But he decided to give the Director's Cut a chance after seeing all the new stuff they've added to it, and he absolutely fell in love with it this time. And on the strength of what he said, I decided to give it a second chance as well, and so far I'm not too far into it. I'm enjoying it as well. They seem to have done a better of a job with the tutorials in the early stage, and also added new story scenes, and quite a lot of extra missions and weapons and things. I haven't really found any weapons yet. I could have found one, but some of the text is misleading. There's a new mission where you go into a ruined factory and you can get the maser gun if you go and do it, but next to the mission it says Mazer Gun recommended, so I put off doing it, assuming I would get access to the Mazer Gun and then go and do it. But you actually get the Mazer Gun right at the start of that mission, so I've moved on from that part of the world now, and I can't go back at the moment. But I think I will get access to fast travel eventually, and then I can go back and do it. So it's a shame I've missed that, because I want to get hold of some of the weapons and be able to fight back against the mules, I think they're called, the sort of hostile human enemies in the world. But yeah, there are things that I do really like about the game. The first time around I played it, I was impressed by the soundtrack and the atmosphere, and it does look really nice, and of course it looks even better. It looks even better now on the director's cut version. But yeah, I just don't know why I didn't really like it the first time. I think it just felt a bit mundane and repetitive. But now I'm in a mindset where I'm prepared to commit to actually completing it. This next year I want to knock off some of the sort of backlog games in my collection, such as Red Dead Redemption 2 and the Trails of Cold Steel games and a Horizon Zero Dawn, and this is another one that I want to get to, and I've decided to take it on first. So yeah, there's some spoilery stuff a little bit in this trailer, but I haven't really been paying too much attention because I've been focusing on what I'm saying to you, so haven't seen too much that's gonna upset me. But yeah, I guess this trailer is aimed at people that have probably already completed the game, so spoilers wouldn't be an issue. There's the Mazer Gun, yeah, and this racetrack looks quite good fun, although I think it's quite far into the game before you get hold of it. So yeah, did you play the original Death Stranding, and did you like it, or did you pick up the director's cut? I think what finally swung it for me is that the upgrade was only £5, and so at that price I didn't really mind paying a bit more to get the improved experience, because it is vastly improved. This is a long trailer, but I'm going to let it run its course. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. That might be the end, actually. But as soon as the trailer finishes, I shall move on. Tomorrow is in your hands. Okay, hopefully there's no music that's going to get me a copyright strike. Yeah, I do really like the soundtrack. I haven't heard the Churches song in the game yet, but I have listened to it a lot, as I am a big Churches fan outside of the game. So I'm going to switch back over. So yeah, that was Death Stranding. Now I took a couple of my boxed N64 games into my local second-hand game shop and traded them in. There was Excitebike 64, which I had boxed with the manual, and Banjo-Tooie, which I had boxed with the manual as well. And with the money, it almost covered my next two items, but not quite. I had to spend a few more pounds to get both of them. But I decided, with some reservations, to buy Demon's Souls for the PS5, which is of course is the full-on remake by Blue Point Games. Here's the trailer. Yeah, so they've done a really excellent job with the visuals, making it look amazing, and of course the frame rate is now really stable, so you won't die as a result of any choppiness or anything like that, which could be a problem sometimes in the old versions of these games. So I've watched some of Giant Bomb, where Danny O'Dwyer's been playing. He's only got through the sort of first few sections at the moment before they had to go on quite a long break, but that has given me a much better idea of how to beat the bosses, the first 3 or 4. So I can probably make some headway. Some of them do look quite tough, but I at least know the strategy of how to take them on. So yeah, I don't know whether I'll actually be able to complete that game, but I'm going to give it a good try. Haven't got too much more to say about Demon's Souls just yet because I haven't put too much time into it. And the next one I won't be able to say a ton about either because I haven't actually fired it up yet. There's a lot of these games that I haven't actually started at all, most of them actually. But over the coming days and weeks I shall actually get around to trying them. The other one I got along with Demon's Souls is Deathloop for the PS5 as well. It didn't take very long for this to start getting quite cheap. Really, I'm quite surprised. I'm going to put the trailer on. So yeah, at first I was put off by the idea of the time loop because that can get a bit boring and repetitive, and if the game's difficult as well, I get frustrated. Like I bought Returnal and I quite like the game, but I did get too frustrated just redoing it over and over again, and I stopped. This game, as I understand it, isn't really like that. It does have the time loop, but you don't lose everything quite as badly as other games. It's not really a roguelike. It's the story moves on regardless as you loop, and eventually if you loop so many times, as I understand it, the game actually starts sort of holding your hand a bit more, and you get more and more powers, and it becomes easier till eventually you should reach a point where you can take out all of the baddies that you need to in one loop and finish the game. So I have heard as well that the story sort of falls apart in the later parts, which is a shame, but I am interested in trying it. I don't really get on with the Dishonored series because I struggle with the stealth, and you can't get a good ending unless you're stealthy. But in this one, it's a lot more free. You can play guns blazing, which I probably will, or you can be stealthy if you want, but you're not penalised by choosing either one really. So it sounds a lot more easy to get on with. Yeah, but yeah, it's got a lot of the same powers and things as Dishonored, and yeah, Arcane do make good games. They're just not usually games that I can get on with, but this one might be the exception. I'm just gonna hold the kitty up. There he is. He's here. You might be able to hear him purring, but probably not over the trailer and my whittering. But he's here. Hello. So yeah, let's just let the trailer finish. I'm not sure how long this one is. Some of these trailers are a little bit long, I think, and some are incredibly short. Eventually we'll get to the low quality ones as well that are only about 360p or something for the older games, but I think that's the end. Yep, I think so. So I'll just have to reach over to the mouse and right, here we are back again. Here's the kitty. The next one actually turned up yesterday, so I haven't taken it out of its haven't taken the game part out of its cellophane. I've opened the outer box, and this game is called Huntdown. I've seen this recommended in a few places actually, and a long time ago when it came out, well, not that long ago, but 6 months ago I think, I watched Jeff Gersman playing it on one of his streams from Giant Bomb, and it's a really cool looking run and gun game with a pixelated art style. Let me just bring up the thing. So as you'll see here, the pixel graphics are really clean and well animated. It's another game that has got quite a tough difficulty, I think. So I don't know if I'll be able to complete it, but it's sort of a little bit reminiscent of stuff like Contra, I guess, but not really. It's not. I think it's a bit slower paced than full-on run and gun, but yeah, you can see it's got a really nice sort of noir style to it. The cat might get in front of the camera again, but there he is. Hello. I'm looking forward. You can just see some whiskers on the webcam. I'm looking forward to playing this quite soon. I think I might throw it on over the weekend that's just coming up and give it a go. Come on, Kitty, decide what you're doing. Just don't step on the keyboard. So yeah, that's Hunt Down. There's three characters that you can choose from. Man. Yeah, that was a minigun. That looks cool. Yeah. This is available on a variety of platforms: Steam, PlayStation, Switch. It's probably on Xbox as well, although I'm not sure, to be fair, if it is on the Xbox or not. Yeah, I think you're a bounty hunter, a futuristic cyborg bounty hunter, and you're taking down these gangs with their bosses. Yeah, it looks really well done. And the other nice thing I forgot to mention actually is inside this box, you get a full manual, which a few of the sort of smaller game publishers have started doing again, which is nice when you get a proper manual with your game. There's a few companies started doing it. There's another game I'm going to get to, which has also done it. So yeah, it's this next game actually that's got a manual in the case. We've moved on to the Xbox Series X now, or Xbox One, because it runs on either. And this game is called The Eternal Cylinder. There's the manual. It's quite a nice one as well. It's got all the creatures inside that you'll encounter in the game. And they've all got really weird names, like the Tongalgrop is that guy with a big bulging sack of poison. So give me a second and I'll just put the trailer on. But Ace Team, if you're not familiar with them, make really weird games like Xenoclash, I think was their first one, and Rock of Ages. They've always got these sort of bizarre creatures in them. Some of them are quite creepy, and in this one you take control of these little sort of snork-nosed little things called Trebhams. There they are. You start off with one, and you can end up with 5 in your party, and you explore this world, and you hoover up certain things with your snout, and if you ingest them, then they make you mutate and learn new abilities. But the abilities are only temporary. If you ingest something else, it will usually change you, and then you do something else. So yeah, it changes your appearance. That one lets him swell up into a balloon. But the reason it's called the Eternal Cylinder is when you pass through these energy barriers, it triggers this giant cylinder. Here it is. That crushes everything in its path, and you basically just have to run away and get to the next tower, which temporarily pauses the cylinder. I've played about 2 hours of it so far, so I haven't seen too much of it myself yet. There's a lot of mysteries, and it's all about discovering how the world works yourself, and there are survival elements, so you need to maintain your hunger and water level and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really cool game. It's not too expensive either. As for platforms, it's definitely on the PC and the Xbox. I'd assume it is on the PlayStation, but I'm not sure, and I don't think it's on the Switch. But it looks really cool, and the creatures are really charming, and there's a narrator that is really good as well. And I recommend checking it out if you like games where you just explore and they're weird and fantastical. And yeah, it's a good one. And now we sort of move on to the more retro part of the video. Got 4 things left. Next to are Xbox. Of course, there's been a lot of hype about The Matrix recently with the next film coming out, which I haven't had a chance to see yet. It hasn't been on where I live yet. Hopefully it's going to be on next week and I can go and see it before I have to go back to work. But anyway, as a result of the hype, I picked up, at long last, a copy of The Matrix Path of Neo. There were 2 Matrix games on the Xbox. There was the Enter the Matrix, which I did play when it came out, and then a few years later, Path of Neo, which is essentially a remake of the original trilogy, except there's an alternate ending in the game that doesn't happen in the films, where I think Agent Smith wins, so you can do that if you want. Yeah, so here's the trailer. It's going over my logo a little bit, but never mind. It's not the end of the world. This is a very low-res, ancient trailer. It's about the best I could find, really. So it's quite blurry, but it gives you an idea. It's got a lot of the classic scenes from the original trilogy remade on the Xbox. And it's made by Shiny again, the same developer as Enter the Matrix. Enter the Matrix wasn't a great game. It captured the style fairly well, and it was visually about as good as you could get for the time for a Matrix game. But the gameplay, it wasn't brilliant, and it was a little bit janky as well. But from what I've heard, this is the better of the 2 games, although I think a lot less people played it, because for a lot of people The Matrix was kind of over for them by this point, me included. But with the hype around the new film, I am going to give it a shot on my old modified Xbox that I've got. It's not a backwards compatible game. Yeah, so that just leaves 3 more things. I'm going to switch back to the big cam. So next we have the second and final original Xbox game. There's actually 2 games in here. This is the Dead or Alive Ultimate disc, and what this is a sort of remake of Dead or Alive 1 and Dead or Alive 2 that were on the PlayStation and the Dreamcast. They'd released Dead or Alive 3 on the original Xbox before they did this, and created a new engine for it. So this is the content from the first 2 games running in that new engine, so they look a lot better. And you get 2 separate discs in here. The version of Dead or Alive 2 is a lot better than Dead or Alive 1, just because it's got a lot more characters and features and things. So here's the trailer for Dead or Alive Ultimate. Again, it's quite a blurry one, but these older trailers are not very high quality, unfortunately. I'm going to pick up the cat again because he wants to join in again. Nearly finished, Kitty. But yeah. Oh yeah, and it had a whole fully fledged online mode with Xbox Live, which was quite new at the time. But yeah, and it still looks really nice. And these are another 2 games that were included in that last batch of 76 that were made backwards compatible for the Series X recently, which is why I picked them up. I think some of the later Dead or Alive games are still considered better than these early ones, but they are classics in their own right. I did have Dead or Alive 2 for a while on the Dreamcast, but I parted with it eventually. Oh. Can't get him to sit still. Come on. I'll talk to him after I'm done with this video. But yeah, probably not my favourite fighting series. I used to be really keen on Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, but since then I'm more into Soul Calibur and a little bit of Tekken, because those are quite approachable games really, that non-fighting experts can play. And I never really play multiplayer fighting games. I just play them against the computer, either through the story mode if there is one, or just like the arcade campaign mode. So I'll probably just muck around with this one. I don't know if this has a proper story mode. I don't think they added that till some of the later entries. But yeah, visually it's very impressive, and the upscaling they do on the Series X, it makes it look almost as good as a more modern game. So yeah, that's that one. The penultimate game this time, well, these next two games I bought as a result of a PlayStation Access stream where they were celebrating the anniversary of Lord of the Rings, the movies, I think. They didn't actually play this one, but it is of course connected to the Lord of the Rings, and this is the Hobbit, not the movie-based game, but based on the book. Hang on. Yeah, so and the character design is a bit off on this game. Of course, they had to make it visually distinct from the films, so it won't look as impressive as the Peter Jackson films. The Hobbit trilogy, the movies, hadn't been made by this point anyway, so they were just sort of cashing in on the success of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But I don't know, this game was really cheap, so even if it completely sucks, it's not the end of the world, but there might be a few hours of enjoyment to be gleaned out of it. I'm definitely interested in checking it out. There's old Gandalf and the Battle of the Five Armies there. Smeagol, he doesn't look very good, but never mind. And that brings us on to our last game of the day. So yeah, leading on from that, we have Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring on the PS2. Official game, it says on there. Yeah, and again, this is licensed from the book, not the movies. They did do movie games for Two Towers and Return of the King, and I think the Two Towers game did incorporate Fellowship story stuff in it as well, from what I remember. And those are just sort of bog standard hack and slash games. These other games, this one was published by, I don't know actually. The Hobbit was published by Sierra, but this one says Black Label. I don't really know who that is, but these other ones are more sort of deeper action adventure games. So yeah, they sound more interesting on paper than the sort of hack and slashy ones, the button mashing ones. But that brings us to the end of another pickups video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've stuck through all the way to the end, then thank you, that's impressive. Before I sign off, anyone hoping for me to bring back the cover tape Chaos Zapped series, where I look at the classic cover tapes, you'll be glad to hear that I am gonna bring it back. You've still got a little wait to go. Let me just have a look at the calendar. So the cat's in the way again now. Come here. So January, I'm going to bring it back on February the 2nd. So just over a month from now is when I'm intending to come back with season 2 of Cover Tape Chaos Zapped, all being good, and then every fortnight there'll be a new episode of that. I'm going to try and get a couple ready to go before the 2nd, and have some other stuff uploaded before that for you to watch. There may well be another pickups video before that happens, depending on how much stuff I buy in January, but I have to be a bit careful and make my money last until payday, so I might not be picking up many more things, but probably a few cheap older games again, because they're like £2 or £3, so that doesn't do much harm. But I probably won't be buying any more new releases until the end of January. So that brings us to another episode to a close. He looks quite happy. Thanks for watching. Do leave a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video, and sharing if you would like to let others know about it. I'll see you again on the next one. In the meantime,